Joe Mitrick will tell you that a hospital is like a city. There's a synergy, a culture, and all the professionals work together as a team. Joe was introduced to this culture at the young age of 16 when he took a job at a little community hospital in a suburb of Cleveland where he grew up. He tells us they hired him as the TV guy. He would go around to the various rooms and hook up speakers for patients who had rented a TV. A rather inauspicious start for someone who would spend 41 years at the highest levels of the healthcare industry. But young Joe was promoted from TV guy to multiple others in that part-time job. He worked as a delivery boy for the pharmacy before moving to administration and delivering board packets, eventually providing direct patient care as a nursing technician. Those early days opened his eyes to the impact a good hospital made on patients' lives, even though he at first decided to pursue political science when he entered college. He thought he'd be a city manager, but while in grad school at Ohio State University to work on his master's, he did a rotation in hospital administration, and as he tells it, a light bulb went off. Joe decided then and there that hospital administration was where he could make a difference, and after graduation served a fellowship at a Canton, Ohio hospital. Married to his wife Laura by then, he loved his work with the Canton Hospital, and the fact it was across the street from the Pro Football Hall of Fame only added to its appeal. Upon graduation, he worked in Canton and Cleveland for 11 years when a recruiter called about a position with St. Vincent's Medical Center in Jacksonville. Joe and Laura made the trip to Jacksonville and liked what they saw. He accepted the job as Vice President Professional Services with St. Vincent's and was there when they merged with Baptist Help. Joe's and Laura's elderly parents had remained in Ohio, and Joe thought they might one day move back to care for them. That decision was made sooner than they expected when the Cleveland Clinic came calling and recruited him.
It was a tough decision for us,
Joe said,
because we really liked Jacksonville and I loved working at Baptist.
Resettled in Cleveland, Joe might have spent the rest of his career in the Buckeye State, and we might have been -1 beach legend, except for one thing, the Ohio weather. He had only been in Cleveland for a few months when they had a freeze, the kind of weather that brought back memories of warm ocean breezes. Call it coincidence or call it serendipity, but the very next day, Joe took a call from his old boss, Hugh Green, the Baptist Health CEO. The two had remained close, and Hugh asked how he was doing. "It's kind of cold up here," Joe grumbled. "But didn't you grow up there?" Green asked. "Sure," Joe replied, "but it's different after you've lived down south." "Well, that's good," Green said. Joe was puzzled. He couldn't see anything good about the freezing weather. Green explained, "It's good because I called to recruit you back to Jacksonville." After checking with his wife, who was ready to start packing, and assuring their parents they would take care of them if needed, Joe and his family happily returned to the Sunshine State. Their children, Jonathan and Brittany, were elated when they heard the news. They all agreed that the beach was their home and were glad to be back. Joe's career blossomed as he took over as administrator for Baptist Medical Center Beaches. He was now in charge of the largest employer at the beach and quickly recognized the synergy between Baptist Beaches and the other community organizations. Recalling one of Hugh Green's favorite axioms, the hospital is a not-for-profit and it's owned by the community. Joe worked closely with other beach leaders to help solve local problems. They produced the Beach Ball, a fundraiser for Mission House. And with homelessness growing in the area, Baptist Beaches worked closely with the Sulzbacher Center and helped open a clinic for the homeless at Mission House. They've also provided first aid services for the Players' Championship for the past 30 years. After 8 years at Baptist Beaches, Joe became president of Baptist Medical Center Jacksonville, where he led the team of professionals for 6 years before returning to the beach. He also took on the position of President of Transitional Care for Baptist Health. This responsibility involved helping patients being discharged from the hospital to be sure they received the proper level of support. Returning to the Jacksonville Beach facility brought with it new challenges and exceptional growth. Because the beach's population had grown considerably, Joe and his staff recruited more primary care and specialty physicians and added more services to meet the demands of the burgeoning patient population. His efforts helped grow Baptist Medical Center Beaches into a nationally recognized facility. During his 20 years there, the facility added 60 beds, a 24-hour-a-day critical care program was implemented in the intensive care unit, a new GI lab suite and cardiac cath lab were opened, and a surgical robotics program implemented. During his tenure, the new Wilson Farrell Surgical Pavilion was constructed, and OB services were added and soon expanded. Listed among the world's best hospitals by Newsweek and acknowledged as a high-performing hospital by U.S. News and World Report, were only a few of the honors that came to Baptist Beaches during Joe's tenure. He appreciates the recognition, but Joe points once again to his team providing excellent services and good experiences for their patients.
These accomplishments cannot be achieved individually,
Joe said.
It's a team effort, and everyone must work together.
And because of his many years of service, Joe believes that a career in healthcare provides an opportunity for making more of an impact than in almost any other profession.
We have the opportunity to impact patients' lives during their most vulnerable times,
Joe said,
and truly make a difference.
Joe Mitrick is living proof that one person can make a difference. It's probably not what the 16-year-old had in mind when he was delivering TV speakers to patients, but he has left his mark on the beaches and on the lives of thousands of people who experienced the professional health care in the city known as Baptist Medical Center Beaches.